Hello, everyone, and welcome to a sketchbook tour. This is take 3 because I've been having technical difficulties with the lights and the tripod and blah, blah, blah. But hopefully, I think we got everything worked out. And if the light falls over again, well, that's just bonus content, I guess. Anyways, what are we talking about today? We're doing a sketchbook tour. This is one of the extra cartoon sketchbooks for Noah's Archipelago. And if I can zoom in without knocking things over. As you can see, Noah is posed, and he is in a little art class, a life drawing, because, he thinks he's a model. Anyways, as it says there, Noah's Archipelago extra cartoons. Noah's Archipelago, I have mentioned before in the context of my little, let me reach for one. What are these things called? Oh yeah, ceramic little sculptures. This is Noah. Yeah, Noah's looking very sad because there's technical difficulties. And also it's taken a bloody long time for the cartoonist to do a sketchbook tour of him, right? Yeah. But the cartoonist already did one for Noah's rival, Ricky B. Rat, right? Yeah. So this is long overdue, right? Yeah. Anyways, go behave yourself, Noah. We'll stick him right over there, and he can give me the guilt trip look while I do this. Anyways, it's a webcomic I do that I post on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter 4 times a week officially, sometimes less than that. And the website currently is behind. I got to work on that for the rest of October, getting it up to speed and up to date. Anyways, normally Noah is drawn on an iPad with an Apple Pencil using the Procreate app, and on my channel elsewhere I have posted little reels sped up of doing that, so you can check those out. But sometimes I get lazy or time management is a problem, and on those days sometimes ideally I do the comic and on the iPad, but sometimes it ends up just being a really quick marker sketch, and that is what this book is about. So, extra cartoons. Go there. This book, again, I will try to zoom in, and rather than move the phone, I'm just going to move the book because we had issues with trying to move the tripod earlier. So, this is from the end of November 2022. And what we have here is, I will zoom back out. No, not that far out. Technical difficulties. Anyways, we had a big dump of snow, obviously, that week. So we have Noah. He's shoveling. He does not look happy about the shoveling thing. And he's thinking, Mom's right. Maybe we should move to Florida. His mother lives in Florida, obviously. And he's thinking how much he hates the snow. Well, this is his mother-in-law, Agnes Burgoyne, and she's thinking to herself, perfect timing, Agnes. He'll never see it coming. I'll get Frank later. Frank is her husband. And in the background, we have Ursula, Noah's daughter. Ugh, do your own homework. Build your own snowman. I gotta do everything around here. By the way, the living situation, which will kind of be obvious, I guess, in some of these cartoons, is Frank and Agnes have a sizable property in a neighborhood called Oak Bay in Victoria, BC, because they got money, and they probably bought it in the 1970s when such things, relatively it was always inexpensive, but, inflation, yada, yada, yada. It was a lot cheaper to get into Oak Bay back then than it is now. So they have a large lot, which is kind of square shaped, and it has 2 houses on it. Their house, which is the big house, and then the guest house, which their daughter Ruth, who is now Noah's wife, moved into that when she was 18, and that is where Noah and Ursula and her baby sister Valerie all live to this day. So they basically live with the in-laws, which is very annoying for all parties involved. But, you know, it's also cheap. So anyways, Ursula is out in technically her grandparents' backyard, but also her own. One of these days I'll draw a map because I have a picture in my head of what the property layout is. But basically you got 4 quadrants. So a circular driveway sort of thing in the one quadrant, the big house, the guest house, and then the backyard. Which, as far as Agnes is concerned, Noah keeps ruining the backyard because he's put in a little orchard and he has a chicken coop with chickens and all this, all of which was actually Frank's idea, but Frank has managed to convince Agnes that it's all Thorsen's doing, so there you go. Okay, a little break for a water drink in there. Now, next up, this would be a few days later, December 1st, 2021. I think I've got it cut off a little bit at the top, but bottom, I mean. Anyway, so we have Ursula. Noah's sitting on the couch. I think that was originally supposed to be a beer, but kind of looks more like the remote, actually. And Ursula's proclaiming, "We were there for hours, Daddy. I thought I'd never see daylight again." And he says, "You got out of school at 3 and it's 4:38 now, Ursula." "Exactly. I thought Mommy would never stop shopping. It was even worse than when Grandma said she'd just be a minute at the flea market." Grandma always refers to Agnes. Noah's mom is Granny Thorsen. So anyways, Noah's thinking, I should probably do more time-telling review with her. And then we obviously got another dump of snow on December 20th. Because they are inside, they are looking out at the backyard. Ursula's wandering through snow that is up to her waist. I don't think it was that bad. Certainly in Victoria it wouldn't have been that bad. I live up island from Victoria on Vancouver Island. I think this is the day we got 14.5 inches of snow in one night. Actually, fortunately it was the light fluffy stuff, which isn't that bad to shovel. But afterwards I was like, I wonder how deep it is. It looks like it's more than a foot. So I had just like basically cut pathways. Like I didn't really clear my driveway. I just got enough that I could get my car out. So there was like a steep wall of snow. Then went in the house, fetched a tape measure, came back out, and somewhere way back on my Instagram, I have a photo of it where I held it with the thing at the bottom on the cement, and then the line for the snow height was 14.5 inches, and it had fallen in one night. Anyways, so that's the background here. We're pretending that they get the same weather down Victoria. They do not. They probably got like 3 inches of snow down there, which is enough to shut down Victoria, because it's kind of like, okay, so anyone who's not in Canada, every time that it snows on the West Coast, the rest of Canada gets free comedic content on the nightly news because they will send out film crews from the Vancouver offices to film the traffic chaos because nobody in Vancouver knows how to drive in the snow. Victoria's even worse. And then that gets put on the national news. So people in Winnipeg and Toronto can sit there and laugh their asses off watching these idiots on the West Coast try and drive in like 1 inch of snow. And like sliding backwards down hills. It's hilarious. I've even seen ones where the buses over sliding back sort of sideways and backwards down hills. It's very funny if you're not the one doing it. Anyways, I am mediocre at driving in snow. I still find that hilarious. But anyways, point is, I think there may have been one time recorded in the last, Victoria, I think the oldest buildings in Victoria are like from 1855, so it's been 170 odd years. I know there's a pub from 1858, the 4 Mile Pub, if I'm not mistaken. But I think there was a base kind of trading post kind of before that, but not by much. So anyways, I think in the recorded history, and I should have looked this up beforehand, but I think there's probably only really been once, maybe twice in that century and a half when Victoria has gotten so much snow that an 8-year-old would be up to her waist in it, like drawn here. This snowfall, definitely not that bad, even where I live. But, you know, it's a cartoon. We don't do realism here. Anyways, Noah and Ruth are warm and cozy inside the house looking outside. And Noah says, Ruth, we need to talk. Either we buy a snowblower or we move to Florida. And Ruth says, we are not moving to Florida. Snowblower it is, just as soon as I can get out of the driveway. And then he pauses and says, do you think Ursula's had enough fresh air out there yet? Then from Christmas 2022, I need to move that up just a little. Yeah. Anyways, so Ursula has obviously gotten a Barbie for Christmas, although for copyright reasons, I'm working on a Noah's Archipelago anthology book, so I'm going through and like changing the different brand names. So like she likes Lego, but in the cartoon it's now going to be called Dane Bricks. I forget what I think instead of Barbie and Ken, I think I called it Bailey and Quinn or whatever, but I haven't gone through and photoshopped this yet. When I do the next anthology, actually, I have to look, because a couple of I'm working on the anthology right now, and it would go from the summer of whenever I launched it, summer of 2022, I think July, mid-July, to the first week of March in 2023. So actually these cartoons belong in the anthology, and I completely forgot about them. What I will probably do is scan them, and I may just leave them as is, or I may kind of clearly scribble that out and put in the new brand name so it's obvious that I changed it here and here, kind of as a joke, but the digital ones, I'm changing them to look like it was always that way. Anyways, Ursula is saying, okay, so I braided Barbie's hair and made her a fake fur outfit. What else do I need to make her a Valkyrie? For background, for anyone who's not familiar, Noah, well, the last name Thorsen, you can kind of guess that they are of Scandinavian extraction, and specifically Danish. So, and Noah's mom is like, you don't really get into it in the comic, but she wears like the Mjolnir, which is like the Thor's hammer pagan necklace, and she has like oath bracelets. She references Odin. So like that sort of stuff, I don't really get into it that much now, and it's not really emphasized as much as it was in the first year or two. But anyways, so Valkyrie, because Norse history. Anyways, so Noah says, she needs a shield and a battle axe. I'll lend you He-Man's. Noah really likes his action figures, aka his dolls. Anyways, that also comes up. He-Man, I would have to change the name as well. Anyways, so Ursula says, and now He-Man died in battle, so he goes to Valhalla. And Noah says, yes, or Sessrumnir if Freya takes him instead of Odin. And then from the off in the background somewhere, Ruth has seen all this and is saying, Noah, what are you two Ursula, what did you do to Barbie's dress? Anyways, so yeah, note to self, Pyra, when you're editing this, make an actual note that you need to scan some of these for the first anthology, because I have not done that at all. Anyways, here is the baby sister Valerie, and by the way, mommy back to work. Ruth is a second grade teacher, so anyways, and she teaches at the same school that Ursula goes to third grade in. Anyways, so Noah is kind of, you know, that thing where you can hold them and rock the baby. I don't know. I never had kids, so I don't know. It's not specifically cuddling. It's not it's kind of bouncing them up, but not, I was going to say it's like burping, but not necessarily actually burping the baby, just bouncing the baby up and down on your hip or whatever. Anyways, all right, Valerie, mommy's back to work, so we get to listen to Marilyn Manson and Motley Crue today. Can you say Manson? Close enough, honey. No, Valerie. No, Valerie, you're thinking of Axl Rose. Neither Marilyn Manson nor Vince Neil can hit high notes like that. Anyways, another background thing. Ruth is a big U2 fan. She absolutely despises Marilyn Manson and Motley Crue. Noah, by the way, he's a stay-at-home dad by day. He sings in bar bands at night. He has several bands that he's in, including a few tribute bands and like a wedding band and a regular cover band and all that. So anyways, he once upon a time used to sing in a Marilyn Manson tribute band. That's actually how he met Ruth, because one of her friends dragged her to like a tribute night and his Marilyn Manson band was one of the ones singing and blah, 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 blah. She was not impressed at first. It was his constant bugging her as a wedding singer in a summer where she was bridesmaid like 5 or 6 times, how they actually got together. But anyways, she insisted he had to quit the Marilyn Manson band and the Motley Crue band. And every so often he fills in for the singers who replaced him, and it ends up being a big fight. Anyways, so I have that. And then this would have been, obviously, Father's Day, June 2023. So those are, the previous ones are ones I'll have to scan for the first anthology. The rest would be for a later anthology. Anyways, so Noah, by the way, Ruth is his 5th wife. He got married the first time to Jillian, aka Gigi. That is Adam's mom, because he knocked Gigi up in high school at the homecoming dance. So that was a shotgun wedding initially. It lasted a few years. They got divorced. Duke is his 2nd son, and that was, he knocked up a bartender at his favorite watering hole, or not bartender, bar waitress. They got married. That lasted a few years. So that was wife number 2. Wife number 3 is Denise. She has been featured in the comic before. That was like, he went to Vegas, he got drunk, he married a showgirl who was just trying to make her boyfriend jealous. So it was like they got an annulment right away type of thing, but they stayed friends. And Ruth is kind of insecure about that for whatever reason. And then there was a 4th wife, Lisa, who hasn't really been talked about in the comic. They were together a few years. They didn't have any kids. Anyways, so whole bunch of kids. The boys are Adam's 28, Duke's 24, Ursula's 8, and the baby is like 6 months. So that's why Adam and Duke are full-grown adults, but still part of the family. Anyways, so Noah's surrounded by his kids. Father's Day and life is good. Craft beer from Adam. Fresh salmon from Duke. A handmade card and a tote bag from Ursula. And then the baby barfs on him, and Ursula says, fresh barf from Valerie. And Noah says, I said good. I didn't say great. By the way, so Adam is a DJ at a bar. Has regular gigs like that. And he's also kind of a bodybuilder. He's certainly a weightlifting kind of guy. I haven't decided yet if he actually does like competitions or whatnot. And then Duke's stepdad is a hunting guide, so Duke kind of is following in that business and does a lot of hunting and fishing. So he actually caught that salmon. And the booger, that says Mr. Booger Man. There was a little story arc in the comic wherein Ursula ended up taking a promotional tote bag that Noah had from his stash promoting his bands, because she needed a new book bag for school, and then the teacher asked if she made it and wanted Ursula to demonstrate to the class how you silkscreen on a bag. So then Noah went to his buddy Mike, who has the silk screening shop, and got Mike to teach Ursula. Ursula tried to get Mike to do all the work for her, but unfortunately for Ursula, Noah had already bribed Mike $50 to make Ursula do it herself. So anyways, she did her presentation and complained about the fact that she had to print the bag herself. Ursula's kind of lazy. That kind of will become pretty, that becomes pretty obvious. Anyways, next up, okay, now I am confused. Because that's obviously June, because it's Father's Day, but then that's January, and that's 2023, which would have got, I must have skipped a page and came back and filled it, or whatever. Anyways, that's got to be it. I skipped a page, and then when I was looking to do the Father's Day cartoon, I'm like, where's a blank page? I'll fill it up, whatever. Because that's obviously out of order, and the drawing style is slightly different too. You can kind of tell Ursula has wiggly bangs here and like the straight bowl cut there. That's, well, straight bowl cut for the bangs. Anyways, Noah is saying, "No, Ursula, you can't have cookies for breakfast." And she says, "But they're oatmeal cookies." Even so, no cookies for breakfast. May from 2023. Also have another kind of ongoing characteristic with Ursula. She's obsessed with tiaras and likes to pretend that she's the queen and whatnot. Anyway, so she's saying, "Daddy, I want a tiara." "Okay, I can get you one. A proper one with diamonds." Well, in that case, you better start writing love letters to Prince George. Ugh, a whole letter? And then she says, "How much longer till the pancakes are ready?" "Soon, Your Majesty." Again, Prince George, actually, at the time that was done, the age gap wasn't that far out, because I don't even think he's a teenager quite yet, maybe just barely now. But, you know, even with billions of dollars of fortune and diamonds on the line, having to write a whole letter, oh my God, way too much effort. So Ursula's not going to be a gold digger because that takes way too much energy and effort. Anyways, May 4th, 2023. Oh yeah, I had my local arts council every year does a fine arts show. I think, again, somewhere way, way back on my Instagram, there would be pictures of it. I did, at that point, a kind of abstract. I was interested in textures and stuff, and then I just kind of was like, I got sick of that. So now when I paint my cartoon characters, and it's like semi-realistic versions, although he still has the big, weird bug eyes, but, you know, 3D sort of looking, properly shaded renderings of my cartoon characters is what I paint now, but at that time, I wasn't doing that yet. So the painting I did was kind of abstract, and then I was like sewing on like fishnets and textiles and like rhinestones, and then coating stuff in like the gel medium to all hold it onto the canvas. Anyways, blah, blah, blah. It was kind of fun for exploration, but I wouldn't call it art per se. Doesn't really communicate anything other than that I was interested in playing with the textures, which some people would say is good enough. Anyways, so Noah has found out about this, and he is not thrilled. So, the Cartoonist has a painting in this year's Cowichan Valley Arts Council's Fine Arts Show, which is cool and all, even though it's not a portrait of me, and he's buck naked, but he's holding his little censored thing. I mean, it's okay, but I'm right here and available for modeling gigs. But that's okay. Anyway, Mom says maybe you'd have won an award if you'd done a portrait of me. But that's okay. You do you. And he's kind of posing like David. And then he says, "Huh, so now that I called you out, you're drawing me with cankles? Very mature." I always end up drawing cankles. That's something I am now taking life drawing right now, but it is something I need to work on. Calves and ankles and feet and whatnot. Anyways, Noah takes it as a personal insult. And then May 16th. I believe May 16th is Trent Reznor's birthday, if I'm not mistaken. I gotta make sure where I have the text close to the top. I gotta make sure I'm not like running off the top of the video. Anyways, so I think that's Trent Reznor's birthday. So, you know, the whole Woodstock 94 Trent covered in mud was the inspiration for this. So Noah's saying, so obviously it's bedtime. He's looking to get lucky. "Hey, Ruth, I want to," censored, "you like an animal. I want to." So he's singing along to that classic obnoxious Nine Inch Nails song Closer. Ruth, however, is distracted because she says, hey, is that my $78 Peter Thomas Roth Irish Moor mud mask from Sephora? And Noah's like, maybe. Wait, you paid how much for a tub of mud? And then we have a little marker sketch of Noah admiring his reflection in a pond. Noah the narcissist. And Noah eating a banana split. That's another kind of thing with Noah's Archipelago, is he's very much into like fake holidays, you know what. So this was done on National Banana Split Day. So, and obviously very quick marker sketch because I obviously didn't do the proper cartoon that day in the iPad. So anyways, he's never met a fake holiday he doesn't love, or a real one. And then we have, this was probably on Christmas Eve of 2023. Are you singing Silent, Silent Night, Holy Night, I have the melody wrong, I think. Anyways, Ursula says, Daddy, how come you don't sing in the church choir? And Ruth's kind of breaking his balls a bit and saying, well, there's the whole dress code issue, you know, because he likes to have his shirt unbuttoned and all that. And he says, I could deal with the dress code. It's the lack of drink tickets I can't abide. Never take a gig that doesn't pay you at least 2 drink tickets. Anyways, so now we're into May of 2024 and Mother's Day. She's picking up a teeny tiny little fragment of red fabric, and this comes after a little cartoon arc done on the iPad where he drags Ursula shopping for presents for Ruth. And also, if I'm not mistaken, I think there was also a cartoon prior to this where Ruth is going through her wardrobe in spring cleaning and she's babbling on about trying to figure out what's missing from her wardrobe. And it seems that Noah isn't paying attention because he's reading a rock magazine, and then he blurts out, short, tight, red Kelly Bundy dress. And Ruth's like, what are you talking about? He's like, that's what's missing from your wardrobe. A short, tight, red Kelly Bundy dress. And Ruth is not impressed. Anyways, he went and he got the tiny bit of red fabric for her to make one. Ruth likes to sew. She's a hobby seamstress. I know nowadays people say, call me a sewist. Ugh. Seamstress or tailor. Get over it. Anyways, whatever. So she's seen this bit of fabric. What the? And And Noah says to Ruth, it's a new dress. Some assembly required. Happy Mother's Day, babe. Even if that is a very stretchy bit of red jersey, like that little bit of fabric is not going to cover both her boobs and her butt. But that's kind of what Noah is hoping for. She doesn't have to wear it in public, just, you know, around the house at night after the kids have been put to bed. And then this is a little drawing that echoes. There's I don't know if I would call it famous per se, but a photo that you see around quite a bit in the YouTube fandom, fan groups and whatnot, and is a photo that Antoine Corbijn took of Bono in a bathtub, bubble bath, with booze and a cigar. Actually, I think Bono, it was just a regular cigarette. In a hotel where in the actual background, that's all a window and it's a skyscraper and there's a view of, I don't know, I'm not sure if it's New York or San Francisco. I think it's San Francisco, actually. And there isn't, I don't think maybe there is a yellow ducky, I can't remember. But anyways, one of the bands Noah sings in is a U2 tribute band, so he cosplays as Bono a certain amount. So I decided to do a version of that picture where it was Noah, but in the master bathroom jacuzzi in the house. So now we have another marker sketch. Noah sleeping in the hammock, holding his sunglasses, so he can't be... I guess the fact that he's still got them in his hand means he hasn't completely fallen asleep. You know, he would have dropped them, but whatever. He seems to be asleep. And Ursula, one of her hobbies is she's obsessed with super soakers and pretending to be a sniper. So here she is with her super soaker, thinking to herself her little, what she thinks that military snipers think about when they're about to take a shot. Super Soaker at the ready, target is asleep. You'll see a few more of those sort of cartoons in this book. And then this one, inspired by when my old dishwasher died. I wasn't the one who tried to fix it. My dad came over and worked on it, and then I ended up, I think in a day or so, it was very obvious that it wasn't worth bothering with, and I ordered a new dishwasher. And actually, you know, funny story, that this is from June 29th, 2024, and so I had my dishwasher break right around Canada Day last year, and then this year my car broke right around Canada Day, and I had to buy a new one. Again, basically the same, because I think, yeah, I think it would be a year to the day, because I think I went and looked at cars on June 30th and actually put like a placeholder deposit on the one that I was sure I was going to buy, took it for a test drive and all that, and then went back on the day after Canada Day, June 2nd or July 2nd, to actually buy the car. And then obviously last year, I think my dishwasher arrived on July 2nd or something. I had to order it a couple days. Anyways, it's just, nobody cares, Pyra, nobody cares. But it's funny that now I have to worry, like, what the hell's going to break next Canada Day? Anyways, so Noah is distressed. He's looking at his phone. He's thinking, let me see if there's a dishwasher repair for dummies guide. Meanwhile, Ruth is saying, did you fix it yet? And he's thinking, I knew I should have paid attention in shop class. Noah is not handy at all. And Ursula, ever enterprising and obsessed with pizza. Daddy, does this mean we're having pizza all week? Right? Because if you order pizza, you don't have dishes to wash. Well, I guess especially if you just use like paper plates or paper towels or whatever. Anyway, so Noah looking all stressed out about that. And then, okay, so what I mentioned earlier about the living situation. So that's Agnes and her friend Lorraine. They are obviously in the big house, looking over the pool, and then Noah's house would be over kind of here somewhere, right? Anyways, we're out watching this, followed a little comic arc, or was part of a comic arc that was done on the iPad, where Noah is doing things like riding his unicycle around, because he knows they're out there watching, so he decides that he's going to put on a show and annoy them. But anyways, Lorraine says, Agnes, your son-in-law is doing some weird clown dance. And Agnes says, I told you, Lorraine, ignore him. Because Noah thrives on attention. So I think I will actually do a larger painting of this at some point. I just have to finish a couple other paintings first, but I quite like the expression. And Noah is very much into he likes fake holidays. He also likes costumes and weird things like that. He has like an entire like turkey costume that he always wants to wear at Thanksgiving and gets mad. He doesn't really get mad because by now he knows that Ruth and Agnes will not tolerate him actually dressing as a turkey at Thanksgiving dinner when, you know, their snooty friends and family might be there. But he always enjoys trying to get away with that. And where does Ursula get her laziness? Well, Noah in the hammock, and he's reading. He has a whole bunch of like productivity books that he apparently reads but ignores. And that one is a book called Do It Today. Well, the it in this case is clearly a nap. And then we have another of Ursula's obsessions is collecting teddy bears. And specifically trying to get Noah to win her teddy bears at the fall fair. So this has been like, there was a whole story arc about that in 2022 in the fall, and then 2023 again, where she was like almost holding him hostage at the midway, insisting he try and win a bear. And of course, all the carny games are rigged and all that. So anyways, here she is in 2024. She's pointing, "Daddy!" $5 for 3 balls. But this time Noah grew a backbone. He says, "No, honey, this year Daddy's just going to buy you a bear and save himself time and money." I think the 2022 cartoon had Noah spending like $300 on tokens to try and win this stupid bear. Anyways, now he's in the shower singing Journey, Don't Stop Believin'. The cartoonist cold can last all week as far as I care. Singing in the shower, being glad that the cartoonist is sick so he can be lazy. That one, sometimes I started and it just doesn't quite work on the scale. So there's a blue pencil underdrawing. And fake holiday. Hey Ruth, it's National TV Talk Show Host Day. Don't even think about it. Get that camera out of here. And the camcorder is aimed at the bed. And he says, sounds like you're in a Springer Brawl kind of mood. Sometimes Noah's ideas about spicing things up in the bedroom get him banished to the sofa in the living room instead. Anyways, the Thorsens head to see Swan Lake at IMAX. Because I went to see that. Anyways, a rare case of Ruth dressing up in a costume. She is dressed up as the Swan Queen. Noah, however, took his inspiration more from Bjork, that weird dead swan dress that Bjork wore at the Grammys one year, or whatever award show she wore it at. Ursula not impressed by any of it, and Ruth is telling Noah, go get changed. Yeah, we got some. So, I talked about the anthology. And what I did, well, that's just a blank sheet of paper. Sometimes I use alcohol markers and they bleed through, so I just kept that in there to absorb anything that wouldn't go through to the next page. Anyways, I was experimenting with different sizes to print the cartoon in the anthology. Like that. This is, I mean, the actual comics are in color, but I was just using my black and white printer. And I figured out, so I even did like trim size, what feels good in the hand, etc. So I settled on, it's going to be done through Amazon KDP, print on demand. And anyways, I settled on 7.5 by 9.25 as the page size. I think somewhere else in here I will have stuffed the mock-ups for that. Oh no, yeah. So anyways, I did a spread so I could, and taped it together on the back so I could hold it and sort of feel like, does that feel good in the hand, etc. And anyways, I wrote in the margins. So I could take that into my ancient 2008 MacBook Pro that I still use for Photoshop and InDesign and whatnot. So that's what I'm assembling the book in. Anyway, so I had this kind of stuff figured out there as a mock-up. But then I kind of stumbled on this. I don't know where I first heard the idea, so I don't think I came up with it. I think I saw it somewhere online. But I'm working on a Ricky B. Rat graphic novel, Ricky B. Goes to Sea, and I use this to figure out the book layout, where I just draw little pages and write what goes in each one. So this is, and I call it my tracker, because as things are completed, in theory, I would come through and like color in each page. This isn't colored in because it's completed. It's not going to happen. So anyway, so I have that stuff. And the first notebook is going to be called Bring Me the Royal Flip-Flops. And then there's some quotes I was thinking of using for an epigraph, but the thing with my books is they're kind of silly, so I like having things like epigraphs, pretending like I have reviews for the books, a frontispiece, which is a very old-fashioned kind of, you know, an illustration next to your title page. My books are very silly, which makes it even, and I think they get even sillier when I have like proper front and back matter that like that a textbook or a literary work would have. Anyway, so there's acknowledgments, there's introduction, and I was going to have a cast introduction and whatnot, but I have that stuff on the website, so it's like, eh. And anyway, so the comics, I have to make a note that what I said earlier, some of these ones that I didn't actually, and who knows, I may decide to actually take the time one weekend over Christmas or whatever and take the ones that were marker sketches and do them properly in the iPad and insert them that way, but whatever. So we have file names like Noah's Anthology 21 or whatever. There's a lot of comics that go, there's like 174 comics, not counting the marker sketches that I should insert. And then at the end, I was going to have like it was a parody that I'm working on that is, some of the puff pieces that magazines like Vanity Fair or The Atlantic do for rock stars. There's one particularly egregious, like over-the-top ridiculous, dick-sucky one that they did about Bono in 2022 that I want to do a satire parody of, but I haven't had time to finish it, so it's not going in this book. It may go in a later book. Anyways, so that's the tracker, and that's pricing stuff and whatnot. Not that it matters. You can look up, if you have a book that was that you bought from Amazon, that especially if you know it's self-published, you can go and measure the book and look how many pages are in it. Keep in mind, some pages aren't numbered, like your front pages, but like count so you know the actual number of pages. And keep in mind that, anyways, pages, not number of sheets of paper, because obviously there's 2 pages per sheet of paper. And then you can, and whether it's color or whatnot, and then you can go and find the Amazon KDP royalty calculator, punch in that data into the form, and it will tell you what it charged, what the printing cost is, which is what they take out of the cover price, and then they take a further cut, and then it'll tell you what the royalty is, which is what the author has paid, and blah blah blah. So you can look that stuff up when the book is out. But and then if you're ordering author copies, because you're going to take it into an actual physical bookstore and do it on consignment or whatever, like in indie bookstores do that, you can get author copies that are just at the printing cost, and then you pay for shipping. And anyways, you can figure out what your favorite published print-on-demand through Amazon books cost and what the authors are making per copy. But I don't need to show it. Anyways, Noah is having his little fantasy here. All hail King Noah. And then we've got Noah. I'm trying to figure out what. I think this is already getting into this year, like either December of 2024 or January of this year. Anyway, so they are inside their living room, and Noah's, again, trying to get lucky. She's got her big fuzzy house coat on. Don't worry, Ruth, I'll keep you warm and cozy. Ruth has a different idea. Oh, good, I was wondering when you were going to start a fire. Oh, well, Noah, good luck. And then the annual Thorsen family grudge match, snowball fight. So Ruth has a few grudges. Noah has a few more. And Ursula has tons and tons and tons. Basically, every time she asked to order pizza and Noah said no, there's a whole bunch of balls being made. So she is not thrilled about the fact that she is not done making ammo yet. And I don't know where her brothers are, because they would certainly have some grudges too. Anyways. And this, oh yeah. This was actually done after... I have a heart arrhythmia, and every so often it puts me in the ER. It's controlled by medication, and actually lifestyle changes are making a huge difference. I've been able to reduce my medication by like 3/4. this year. But anyways, this was one of the times I was in the ER twice in 2024, once at the end of January and once I think in mid-February. Anyways, so I was exhausted. I didn't get my shit together. I was in the hospital at the time I was supposed to be working on the comics. So it happens. Anyways, so we have Noah dressed up as a doctor. Howdy folks, no regular cartoon today as the cartoonist is having an acute attack of lazybone-itis. That is what Noah thinks my real problem is. Anyways, he's saying, which is funny, because I noticed the flare-up didn't stop her from recording a podcast starring that stupid rat dude of hers. And that is Ricky B, the rock and roll rat. And Ricky's like, who, me? Noah's growling. Noah doesn't like Ricky. Ricky's trying to be friends, but Noah not interested. Anyways, Noah says, but I'm not jealous, really. And Ricky says, so we're cool? And he reaches his hand out, and Noah's like, no. Ah, crap. Now, if you'll excuse me, Dr. Thorsen has some vengeful prank calls to make and a certain phone number that needs scrawling in all the local bars. Well, that got Ricky's interest, so he said, did you say bars? Ricky's going to tag along and annoy the crap out of Noah. Anyways, and we have Noah annoying Agnes. Hey, Agnes, guess what? Ugh, April Fools again. I suppose you're pretending you got a job or won the lottery or washed the windows? Fine, I won't tell you. And then that drives Agnes crazy. Yeah, what? So that was, April Fool's Day 2025. And then I had some sketches I did from just Googling roller skating and using the image search results as reference photos just for doodling. So Noah doing some roller skating moves, Noah doing some other roller skating moves, and more roller skating moves. This was at the end of a little comic story arc where Ruth wanted Ursula to take up a sport, and it falls on Noah to take her to the sports store to try and get her to pick something, and Ursula is not interested in anything. Or actually, that's not true. Ursula is interested in drag racing, but Noah said she's too little to do that. Plus, it wouldn't count as a real sport because she's sitting on her butt. Now, obviously, motorsports fans will strongly disagree with me, and I would too. I think it is a sport. But the point is, what does Ruth consider a sport? And Ruth considers a sport if Ursula is running around working up a sweat. So, anyways. At the end, Noah spots roller skates on display, and he remembers going to, he grew up in Victoria and lived in Vancouver for a while. So he probably remembers going roller skating at the Stardust because they had a number of locations. I mean, when I was a little kid in the 80s, I went to Stardust with friends. I was never really good at roller skating. And one time I got pushed over by some big mean kids and actually ended up with a hairline fracture in my ankle. I was on crutches for a couple months. And after that, I think after that I did a couple times go with my childhood best friend, Nicole, because there was a church down the road from where we lived, and it had like a covered walkway from the parking lot to the front door. So every few feet there were posts holding up this cover. This wasn't like an awning. It was like an actual not like a shingled roof, but like a flat roof with Anyways, so we used to go, and Nicole was a much better roller skater than I was, but we used to go and kind of very slowly go like this, so I could just have a couple feet without the thing and then grab the post, and then a couple, anyways, I was never good at it. But a couple of times I've wanted to take it up again, but now of course I live somewhere where, I'd have to drive like an hour to, there's like roller derby, but I'm not interested in roller derby. That's how you get spiral fractures of your bones and stuff like that. Like, it's way too violent. I just want to kind of get okay at just kind of puttering around in a circle so I could like roller skate around my neighborhood or something like that. I think there are lessons that one of the rec centers down in Victoria holds like twice a year, like a spring and then a September. So anyways, I have actually bought roller skates. I need to probably practice actually in the house a little bit, you know, and then find one of those. But anyways, that kind of sparked this whole thing with Noah. There's a few cartoons. Oh, and there's Noah again doing more roller skate moves. And then April of this year, I was taking a business administration overview kind of class down at UVic through continuing studies. And then we had a group, the final night where we had group presentations. So anyways, I was doodling this when other people's presentations were going on. So there's Ricky. I know he doesn't belong in the Noah book, but that was the only sketchbook I took with me. So he's in here. Anyways, Ricky being all nervous, thinking, uh-oh, I don't know nothing about business. Can I present on why Sid Vicious was so cool? Or cheese. I could tell him my favorite cheese. Everybody loves cheese. So there's that. And so what does he do in his presentation? So that's why I think cheddar is the best cheese. Thank you. You were supposed to talk about growth figures for expansion into Mongolia. Oh, right. I figured they probably like cheddar there too. I don't know why Ricky is a southern good old boy. He just is. And then Miles, the half rat, half mouse dude who is the cousin of Ricky's girlfriend, Baby. Anyways, Miles is an accountant and much more money-centered and understands business better. So Miles steps in. Since Ricky's a nincompoop, I'll take over from here. Nincompoop means real cool dude, right? As far as you know. Cool. Now, about that Mongolian phase of our world domination plan. Anyways, so that was what I was doing in class when other people were presenting. And we all had the same company too, which kind of makes it boring. It's like, okay, I don't care. I had to research all this stuff myself. Anyways, so then the next one. Oh yeah, this was in May. Convention. Hey folks, the Cartoonist is going to be distracted this week with some convention, conference, lazybone-itis this week. So I'm going to be working on my tan lines or lack thereof. I suggest you all do the same. Censored for Facebooking because Ruth said so. Basically, Noah is actually going to be buck naked in the backyard, annoying the crap out of Agnes. It's okay, the baby was napping and Ursula's in school. So he had a few hours. Anyways, Sun Solidarity or whatever. And then, oh yeah, May 8th when Pope Leo the 14th was elected. Habemus Papam. And Noah, having heard the news, hey Ruth, have you seen my Pope costume? Ruth, yes, and it shall never be seen again. But she doesn't say that. She says, you are not wearing that to Costco. Well, Habemus Papam, but it ain't Noah Thorsen. And then May 10th, happy Bono's birthday to me. And much as Ruth loves Bono because she's an obsessed U2 fan and it comes up in the comic every so often, she does like it when Noah dresses up like Bono certain times, but other times she finds it annoying, so she's like, ugh. Ursula, however, latches on to the birthday part. Are we having chocolate cake? So Noah continues singing, happy rhubarb muffin day to me. And now Ursula saying, ugh, not a fan of rhubarb. It's a vegetable, right? Who wants to eat those? Anyways, then Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, Ma. Granny, tell Daddy to raise my allowance. Raise her allowance, boy. They're doing a video call because Granny Thorsen's down in Florida. And then I had a little arc about Ursula having to go to the dentist and wanting to defend herself from the pokey sticks. So Noah has found out that she has a Nerf gun with Nerf bullets, and she's got foam throwing stars and whatnot. Nerf darts, pardon me, not Nerf bullets. So he says, oh no, I don't care if they're Nerf darts and foam throwing stars. You are not taking weapons to the dentist. But how am I supposed to defend myself? He does let her keep her favorite stuffed animal, Mr. T-Rex. And Ursula, well, she thinks Mr. T-Rex is her best weapon because nobody expects anything. Anyways, so Dr. Joyce is there and she says, "Hi, Ursula, how are you today? Don't make any sudden moves. Mr. T-Rex is ready to strike." And Dr. Joyce says, "Aw, how cute. You won't think he's cute when he rips your throat out." Anyways. And then obviously this was the first day of summer. "Come on, girls, it's officially summer. Everybody into the pool. Stat. Daddy, it's raining. No excuses." And it was raining on June 21st. Anyways, early July, the Thorsens go camping, the whole family. I gotta scroll this because it goes right to the bottom and right to the top. Anyways, Adam has caught a fish and he thinks new personal best. Duke, who is a fishing and hunting guide, well, he's not as impressed. He caught 2 big fish, but could have done better. Ruth catches a fish and she's impressed, going, "Neat." Ursula, "Ew. Trade you this fish for a pizza." Mr. T-Rex, also Ursula, of course. And the sign, "We'll trade for candy." And Noah, well, Noah didn't do so good. And he wants everyone to quit laughing at his big, big catch. And that kind of goes back to a joke from like the first or second month that the comic existed in 2022. Oh, Canada, this one didn't quite. For whatever reason, I abandoned this version. So Noah is singing, "Oh, Canada." And Ruth says, "Well, at least you're not just wearing a maple leaf." And he says, "Yet, the day is young." There is a monotype print I did, I think in 2023, where it's Noah a few Molsons into Canada Day, running around. He's buck naked, but he does have a big maple leaf over his dick. He's like throwing confetti around and smiling and whatnot. Anyway, so he likes to celebrate. And then the Americans a few days later. So they are on their camping trip. Noah says, "Hey, Ruth, want to see some 4th of July fireworks?" And Ruth says, "Noah, the kids' tent is too close." And he points out, the boys are tormenting Ursula with tales of high school algebra. They won't hear a thing. You're getting close to the end. This is going to be a long video. Well, all my sketchbook tours are long videos because I talk like crazy. I make up for it by posting lots of reels where I don't talk at all, except this month because it's Inktober. I do little voiceovers, but usually I just pick a song. Anyways, getting back to Ursula's passion for pretending to be a sniper with her super soakers. Comment from the cartoonist. Someone didn't show up for cartoon duty today. The cartoonist therefore promised Ursula $5 to nail that someone with her best super soaker. So she is hiding in the bushes while Noah is napping in a floaty in Agnes's pool. Well, I guess technically it's both their pools, but, you know, Agnes and Frank's house, their names are on the deed. Anyways, so Ursula's thinking light breeze, south-southwest, pool pump on level 3. Just hold, Ursula. The pool current will send target this way in 3, 2, 1. And then later in July, Ursula's up to the same old crap. July 11th, 2025, the day Ursula realized that just because there's no National Super-Soaker Sniper Day doesn't mean she can't start one. So she is in the bushes, she's got camouflage on her face, she's got her Super Soaker, and Noah is sleeping on the floaty, about to get his hair ruined. Speaking of which, you can see what I was talking about with the extra paper because of the bleed through from alcohol markers. July 12th, 2025, the day Ursula learned about mutually assured Good Hair Day destruction. And Noah, hair ruined and wet, is saying two can play the Super Soaker game. Well, Ursula is not in the pool. She is sitting at the patio table, cartooning, completely unaware that she's about to get a taste of her own medicine. August 22nd, 2025. Ursula says, "What are we making, Daddy?" "Get well soon cards for the cartoonist." "Is she gonna die?" Nah, she just says the summer sniffles. It was not just the summer sniffles. It was bad. Like, it was really bad. It might have been COVID. I don't know. I mean, I didn't lose my sense of smell. Well, I did for a couple days, but in 2022, I got sick. I got really sick for like a month, and I think it was COVID. And I lost my sense of smell for like a month and could barely talk for like 3 weeks. Couldn't do cartoon voices for like 4 months, even after I was otherwise normal again and could talk and everything normally, but I would get into coughing spells after one sentence of doing cartoon voices. So anyways, I was sick for 10 days this August. And sometimes I have aborted cartoons, you know, where I start them and then wasn't happy with where I had the text, so I went back. This is also why I try to remember to do a blue pencil underdrawing, but sometimes I get lazy and I don't. Second time I had to abort this one. Here we go, third. So this was early September. Noah chasing Ursula down. Get back here, you have to go to school. No, they're gonna lie to me and say it's a free country, but we gotta line up for recess. So Ursula's trying to make a run for it across Agnes and Frank's big backyard. And it says Noah's Monday to Friday workout regimen. Well, this one I did have the blue under drawing, but I still aborted it. And that one I ended up doing in a different sketchbook because that was my last page. So there you have it. From 2022, end of 2022 to fall of 2025, extra cartoons. I have other sketchbooks where I've done extra Noah cartoons. Like, this isn't all of them, but that is the majority of them. And thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this little tour and all my blathering. Maybe you listened to it on 2 times speed so it wasn't as bad. I don't know. Or just put it on mute and put music on. I don't care. I'm not offended by that either. But let's ask Noah, was it a good tour? Yeah, actually, he's not so sure. Maybe. It was okay. Was it okay? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it was okay. Did I talk enough about you? No. I never talk enough about you, right? Yeah, never talk enough. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'm working on Inktober right now and actually kind of sticking to it. So sometime in November, I will have a sketchbook tour of the little sketches I'm doing for Inktober. I still haven't, I have footage to do a couch and exhibition vlog from September, but I haven't had time to actually sit down and edit it. And now it's like, with every increasing day, it's like, is there a point to it now? Because it's like a month after the exhibition already. And I probably won't get it done until like close to Halloween. And I don't know, I guess. But then next year, I'm not going to be as heavily involved. Like, I'll volunteer on the days of, but I had some planning stuff. I don't know. I may still do that vlog at some point, and it'll be like, show up in like February, go like, sorry, this is late. I got lazy, but I had time to edit it this week. I don't know. But anyways, and that's enough blathering for now. So thanks for watching. Catch you next time, and hope you've enjoyed the little sketchbook show.